Hello, and welcome back to Don't Do This Guide. Now, we all dream of that lovely, loose, crumbly soil that you can just run your fingers through, don't we? The kind of soil that makes plants practically leap for joy. And we often think we know the answer. Add some compost, maybe a bit of grit, but it's not always as simple as that, is it? There's a crucial piece of the puzzle that so many gardeners overlook. Over the next few minutes, we're going to delve a little deeper into the fascinating world beneath our feet and uncover the surprising secret to truly loose, healthy soil. If you want practical tips on what to do so your plants can flourish, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, we all know that compacted soil is the enemy of a thriving garden. It's like trying to grow roses in concrete. When soil becomes compacted, it means the tiny gaps between soil particles, those precious air pockets, have been squashed. And without those air pockets, water can't drain properly, roots struggle to grow, and the whole system just grinds to a halt. We often associate compaction with heavy foot traffic, and while that's certainly a factor, it's not the whole story. Sometimes, even without setting foot on the soil, you can end up with compacted beds. Think about it. Heavy rain can compact the soil surface, especially if it's bare. And even tilling, which we often think of as the solution, can actually contribute to the problem in the long run if we're not careful. You see, it's easy to think we're aerating the soil by digging or forking it over. But repeated tilling, especially when the soil is wet, can actually damage its structure, leading to those telltale hard clods that are so difficult to work with. Now let's talk about soil texture versus soil structure. It's an important distinction that many gardeners often overlook. Texture refers to the proportion of sand, silt, and clay particles in your soil. These particles determine how the soil feels to the touch. You'll often hear gardeners talking about their heavy clay soil or their light sandy soil. These descriptions are all about texture, and while understanding your soil texture is helpful, it's only part of the picture. Texture alone doesn't tell you how well your soil will perform. You see, it's the soil structure that really dictates how well your soil functions, how well it drains, and how it supports plant life. Soil structure affects how easily roots can penetrate it, which is crucial for plant health and growth. It also influences how much life it can support, from beneficial microbes to earthworms. Soil structure refers to the way those individual soil particles are arranged and bound together into larger aggregates or crumbs. These aggregates create spaces for air and water. Think of it like this. Imagine a stack of bricks. That's your soil texture, the basic building blocks. These particles are the foundation, but they need to be arranged properly to be effective. Now, imagine those bricks arranged into a beautiful arched doorway. That's your soil structure. It's the arrangement that matters. A well-structured soil allows for better water infiltration, root growth, and nutrient availability. And this is where so many gardeners go wrong. They focus on amending their soil to change its texture, adding sand to clay soil, for example, hoping to make it lighter and easier to work with. But without addressing the soil structure, you're essentially just rearranging the furniture in a house with crumbling foundations. The key is to improve the structure, creating a more stable and supportive environment for your plants. So next time you think about your soil, remember, texture is just the beginning. It's the structure that truly makes the difference. Now, I'm always banging on about the importance of organic matter, and for good reason. Organic matter is the lifeblood of healthy soil, providing essential nutrients and improving soil structure. It's absolutely vital for healthy soil. Without it, your plants would struggle to thrive, and your garden would lack the vibrancy and productivity you desire. But even here, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. It's not just about dumping organic matter and hoping for the best. Simply adding a layer of compost on top of your soil, while better than nothing, isn't always enough to magically transform it. The compost needs to be worked into the soil to be truly effective. One common mistake is adding too much fresh, undecomposed organic matter all at once. This can overwhelm the soil ecosystem. This can actually create a haven for pests and diseases, which can wreak havoc on your plants and garden. And it can also temporarily tie up nitrogen in the soil as it decomposes, making it less available to your plants. This nitrogen deficiency can stunt plant growth. Another mistake is not incorporating organic matter properly. It needs to be mixed thoroughly to ensure even distribution. Just layering it on top doesn't allow it to work its magic deep down in the soil profile where it's needed most. The deeper layers of soil also need those nutrients. And remember, we're aiming for that beautiful, crumbly structure throughout, not just on the surface. This structure helps with water retention and root penetration. And here's another thing to consider. The type of organic matter you add can also influence soil structure. Different materials decompose at different rates. For example, adding lots of woody material can lead to a temporary increase in soil volume, which might sound good, but it has its downsides. But as it decomposes, it can leave behind large voids, creating an uneven soil structure, actually making the soil more prone to compaction in the long run. This compaction can hinder root growth and water infiltration, leading to poor plant health. Now here's the thing about soil, it's not just dirt. It's a living, breathing ecosystem teeming with billions of tiny creatures, from microscopic bacteria and fungi to earthworms and beetles. And these creatures, my word, they are the unsung heroes of the gardening world. You see, it's the activity of these soil organisms that really determines the structure of your soil. They're the master builders, the architects of that beautiful, crumbly texture we all crave. Earthworms, for example, are like little plows, tunneling through the soil, aerating it and incorporating organic matter as they go. Bacteria and fungi, though invisible to the naked eye, are equally important. They break down organic matter, releasing nutrients in a form that plants can use. They also produce sticky substances that bind soil particles together, creating those all-important aggregates. But here's the rub. If we're not careful, we can inadvertently harm this delicate ecosystem. And without a thriving population of soil organisms, our efforts to improve soil structure are often in vain. So, how do we inadvertently harm our soil life? Well, one of the biggest culprits is excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. These can disrupt the natural balance of the soil food web, killing off beneficial organisms and leaving the soil vulnerable to pests and diseases. Another common mistake is over-tilling. Remember, every time we till the soil, we're disrupting the homes and food sources of these beneficial creatures. And while a little bit of disturbance can be beneficial, excessive tilling can actually do more harm than good in the long run. Compaction, as we've discussed, is another major issue. When soil is compacted, it creates a hostile environment for soil organisms. They can't breathe, they can't move freely, and their populations dwindle. And finally, leaving soil bare and exposed to the elements can also take its toll. The sun can bake the soil, killing off surface-dwelling organisms, and heavy rain can wash away topsoil, taking with it valuable nutrients and organic matter. So, we've talked about the mistakes to avoid, but what can we actually do to encourage a thriving soil ecosystem and unlock the secret to truly loose, healthy soil? The answer lies in understanding and nurturing the complex web of life that exists beneath our feet. Well, it all boils down to one key principle: feed the life within. By providing the right conditions and nutrients, we can support the myriad of organisms that contribute to soil health. First and foremost, ditch the chemicals. Synthetic pesticides and fertilizers can harm beneficial soil organisms and disrupt the natural balance. Opt for organic fertilizers and pest control methods whenever possible. Compost, well-rotted manure, and other natural amendments not only provide essential nutrients, but also improve soil structure and water retention. Leaf mold, for instance, is a fantastic natural fertilizer that will nourish your soil and its inhabitants. Next, minimize soil disturbance to maintain the integrity of the soil ecosystem. Instead of tilling, consider adopting a no-dig or low-till approach. This method helps preserve soil structure and allows beneficial organisms to thrive. This involves adding a layer of organic matter to the soil surface and letting the worms and other organisms do the hard work of incorporating it for you. Over time, this will create a rich, fertile environment for your plants. Mulching is another fantastic way to protect and improve your soil. It acts as a blanket, shielding the soil from harsh weather conditions and preventing erosion. A good layer of organic mulch, like wood chips or straw, will help to suppress weeds, retain moisture, and regulate soil temperature, creating a haven for beneficial organisms. This simple step can make a big difference in the health of your garden. And finally, be patient. Building healthy soil is not an overnight process. Building healthy soil takes time. It's a gradual process that requires consistent effort and attention. It's a long-term investment, but the rewards are well worth the effort. Healthy soil leads to healthy plants, which in turn leads to a more productive and beautiful garden. With a little bit of care and attention, you can transform even the most compacted, lifeless soil into a thriving ecosystem, that will reward you with healthy plants and bountiful harvests for years to come. The journey to building healthy soil is a rewarding one, filled with learning and growth. There you have it. The surprising truth is that truly loose, healthy soil isn't just about adding amendments. It's about fostering a vibrant, living ecosystem underground. Think of your soil as a world in miniature, full of life and activity, and treat it with the respect it deserves. Stop making the mistake of ignoring your soil's biological workforce. By feeding and protecting the microbes and worms, you empower them to build the perfect soil structure for you. Remember, they are the original no-dig gardeners. If you found this guide helpful and want to avoid more gardening blunders, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Don't Do This Guide. Let us know in the comments below. What's your biggest soil challenge right now?